We're here on the top of Mount Tolmie, overlooking our beautiful city of Victoria, BC, the traditional land of the Algonquin-speaking people, including the Esquimalt, Songhees, and Wasonic nations, where we live, learn, and raise our families. They say it takes a village, so let's meet them. Families of all shapes, sizes, and stories. Are you ready? Let's go. I need my sass back. If you're doing it all from meltdown to task and still fighting to keep up that sass, friend, I've got you. Hey, I'm Deb, host of Sass and Small Talk, the mental load of parenthood, season 2. As a mom of 2 smallies, navigating life with a neurodivergent family and my own neurospicy brain, caregiving for aging parents, and trying to hold it all together with grace, I know what it means to carry the mental, emotional, and invisible load of parenting. But here's the thing, we weren't meant to do this alone. This season, we're exploring the many faces of parenthood, from single parents to co-parents, blended families to chosen families, and everything in between, right here in our beautiful city of Victoria, BC, and beyond. They're sharing real stories of overwhelm, grief, imposter syndrome, breaking generational cycles with the resilience it takes to keep showing up. Real parents, real families, real stories, because it takes a village to raise a child and a community to raise their parent. Darling, I need my sass back.
Look like I'm flying?
Welcome to Sass and Small Talk, the mental load of parenthood in all its messy, beautiful forms. Today, we are going to go into the big city, and I can't wait to introduce you to the next guest. Today's guest is Giuseppe Spoletini, vocal instructor, director of musical theater at the Manhattan School of Music, and vocal instructor at the prestigious St. Thomas Choir School, the founding member of the acclaimed classical crossover ensemble Au Sole Trio, where he performed sold-out concerts in acclaimed venues such as Carnegie Hall and Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, touring across the U.S. and Canada. Giuseppe and his husband raised their 11-year-old son and his beloved bearded dragon, Croissant, in the beautiful community of Sunnyside, New York. A vocal instructor, choir director, and devoted parent, Giuseppe's proudest accomplishments aren't just on stage. They're in the quiet moments of raising a kind, empathetic, joyful child while still sharing his gifts with the world. This is Giuseppe. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Deb. Oh my gosh, it's so great to see you.
I just feel so honored that you are willing to do this, and this wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
But what an incredible ride. And to think we came from Dalhousie to this moment.
Come
What a
on.
gift. Yeah.
I have to say, we have to start this up by saying that there's some history here, and
So much.
so much history. We walked together to school.
Yep.
We were
St.
kindergartners.
Dominic.
St. Dominic.
Mhm.
We were just these little incy-wincy people. I mean, you were a little bit taller than me, but I was
A little
about
bit
I was about half your size, and we just walked together, and you were just a dream. And I just loved being your friend always, but it didn't end there, did it?
Nope.
I have to say, we were meant to be in each other's lives somehow, right? At different phases.
There's, there's no question because we were, no matter what happened afterwards, the best platonic male-female relationship that ever existed.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I understood you because we both had immigrant parents.
Yep.
We both lived in the same neighborhood.
hmm
There was the same value system. There was
Very,
the same
very much.
fear
Yes.
of all of the
Overprotective.
things.
Yeah, we had the
Yeah,
overprotective
we were
parents.
both Catholic. Like there were so many things that I was like, she's my girl
Jeez.
and I need her. Yeah. And I didn't even know. I think it was a subconscious needing of you
I
at the
I
time.
100% feel this too, because we both kind of entered the world, not really entered. You were always kind of in it. We'll get into that later with the idea of art being
Mm.
central in your life, right? Being in music being part of your life. But like I kind of entered it. It was part of my life as a pianist, but somehow we ended up in the same kind of like musical theater classes, and we were in the same like productions. You were always lead role.
How dare you? That's not
Mm,
true. Okay,
You were
sometimes. But
all the
whatever.
time. We're like, so we all know we won't even bother checking, but we all know that, Giuseppe's going to be like guy. But I was always somehow just a little bit close to you. There was just I always felt like I was near you somehow. You were my safety zone. I got to tell you, you were my,
Oh, that really actually makes me feel so good to think about that.
it's true. I always saw the back of your head. I
Okay.
really did. But I mean, I was right by you. I was always by you. And it was an honor to be able to serve in that capacity, in that we were both on stage and we danced and we sung. But there was one
Amazing.
time that we played even field.
That was wild. That memory
We
is
were,
one of my favorites of
yes,
all time.
me too. Us dancing together, us
Oh
young
my gosh.
ballroomers. How did
Can
we
you
do
imagine?
that?
And we did it. We were still in junior high school,
We were,
and we did it at a high school. We were at St. Francis
yes.
doing a present. I can't remember what the event was, but it was like, come and perform at your future high school
That's what it
for
was.
some sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
Yeah.
And I remember, and this is gonna sound so self-involved. I remember the screaming and the cheers and it was so successful.
It was
And I
so
was like,
successful.
I mean, in my mind, I was like, I think we have a touring career with this show. Like it's gonna, it was quite, and you were so small and I felt so strong that I could throw you around. I was like, I'm clearly also very gifted with the throwing of the people.
Okay, come on. I flipped over your head, your back.
It was wild.
It was
Yes.
wild. And what I loved about this was that I just felt so at ease with you. I was like I said, I was half his
Yeah.
size. We're gonna be showing this footage. And
Yes.
you took the lead at all times. And I'm gonna tell you something, like Giuseppe down there in our world in Calgary. Of course, I already introduced you as our New York guest, but
Mhm.
you are from Calgary, or no, wait, are we from Calgary? Were you born
Yeah.
there?
Oh,
Okay,
of course. Yeah, no, I was born there. Yeah.
you were born there. So we went to school there, and I, we, I just always felt at home and at peace with you. I felt protected. I don't know what it was, but every single girl had a crush on you at school. Like we all loved Joe. But for me, and I called him Joe, just so that we are clear that
Yep. And
I
you
know
can,
he
and
was
you can
Joe.
now that everybody knows,
Now that
if
everyone
we go with
knows.
Joe, it's acceptable. Same guy.
Same guy, but you were just everyone just everyone to be your partner, either on stage, in musical theater, as an actress. Like, we just all wanted to be next to you. You were just such pure talent.
That is
And
a really, really kind, thoughtful thing to say, because it makes somebody feel good to know that people want to be around you.
oh
The
yeah.
irony that everybody wanted to be my girlfriend is hilarious at this point. But that's for a whole nother
Hey, come
show.
on, that's a whole other show. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. It's all part of the journey. But I do have to mention to our viewers and our listeners, this series with TELUS and StoryHive, I am delving into locally reflective stories. Yes, Victoria is where I'm from. Calgary is where we met, and you now live in New York. So why do we have Giuseppe Spoletini here? Why? The reason why is because he's an incredible father, and I had to talk to you to get some pieces of you and your life. And what we needed to really know is that, does the big city and the bright lights and the Big Apple and being a performer, an artist, a creative, does that make a huge difference when it comes to, the soul, role as a dad and as a parent?
It absolutely.
Yeah.
To be honest, here's the thing: like, you can have any job. Hopefully, the minute you become a parent, that is your full-time job.
Mhm.
And no matter what job you are passionate about, it supersedes everything. And it becomes the thing, which, for better or for worse, I'm not going to say that that's the way everybody should roll.
Yeah.
But for me, that's what happened. And it's a really, really hard thing to navigate, because the traditional roles of people in general and parents evolve all of the time.
Yes.
So we had a very different route in getting a child.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we can start with that.
Yeah, let's. That's exactly what I want to.
Yeah,
That's
so
how I want to start with you. I want to know how
I'm
parenthood started for you.
right. So I had my first date with my current. I shouldn't say my current husband. I hope that he's the last one. Anyway.
Sorry, Jesse, we love you. Oh my gosh, I love
you. Anyway, so
Beep.
my first date with my first husband, we met wildly out, like, and then we had our first date at dinner, and I had said 3 things which I think were really kind of nervy at the time, and I said, I just need you to know these 3 things. I am never leaving New York. I want a family. And I'm never having a pet.
Wait, but croissant.
Wait,
what's happening here?
Croissant doesn't count because croissant's in a glass.
In a glass cage.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that took a lot of negotiating. But I was like, just know. Oh no, there was a 4th. And I'm gonna drink wine every day.
Oh,
so anyway,
please, you're Italian.
like,
let's do this, right?
Let's get it straight. Like, let's not be confused about these things. But he also, like, that very first day was like, I want a family, which you never talk about on a first date.
Wow.
So it really made us feel good about, okay, we should have a second one. Date.
I was like, we're ready at the second one. We haven't even had the first one yet. Okay. Second date.
At this point, like, we're like, there's no second time. So we dated, and then, life took its course, and we got engaged and we got married, and it was really special. We did it here in New York. It was before it was legal to have an actual marriage license. But we were so blessed that the pastor at my church married us at this wonderful restaurant in Hell's Kitchen, and it was amazing. So we had this great turn of fate where Jesse was at the dermatologist for some reason and talking to him about children. And he said, today's your lucky day. I am friends with Rosie O'Donnell's adoption attorney. That's hilarious because that's never going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could say like all kinds of funny things.
Second date.
So it was actually, this guy's dad was the trailblazer for gay adoption. We met with him. We had this incredible meeting, and Jesse and I were like, I think we're going to do this. This would be amazing. So we waited a year, and sure enough, we used this wonderful, wonderful man. And then the applications, not the applications, that sounds weird. The requests started coming in for people that were needing parents for their birth children. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was so overwhelming, but so amazing but it was also very scary because we would get a call from somebody who was, not well and in jail and on methadone.
Oh my.
So you're like, how do I willingly, like, how do I know that I can take care of a child that needs all of this extra care in advance? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's so complicated.
There were so many complicated, but then every time you say, I can't take this on, you're like, was that my chance? Like, was that my window? Turned out we won the lottery because
you sure did.
I was heading to work one day. No, sorry. I'm going to rewind a little bit. We had met online, this mother, John's birth mother, and Jesse was able to go out to meet her.
He actually met her.
Indianapolis. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, and I did too afterwards. But first he met her.
Okay.
So he went. She had a daughter who was not yet 1.
Okay.
It was in December. No, sorry, this was in November. But I couldn't go because I was working. So Jesse went, met her. They had a wonderful time. He came back, and there's a weird when you're dealing with adoption here, it's very tricky because you have to have a burner phone because you cannot tell them your full name or anything until everything's done, because unless it's like an open adoption, which we were hoping for, but if it is, that happens
later.
Afterward.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, because there are so many strict laws about what you can give and how you can help them, and because nobody wants you to buy a baby.
Right.
So it becomes a very tricky thing. This was all too many rules for me as like a Canadian who just wanted a baby.
Yeah, I just wanted the baby. Like, why do we have to fill it out?
Yeah, I didn't like any of it. But but if you break the law, you don't get a baby.
Exactly.
So we had to do what we had to do. So then we were back. Jesse came back. He wasn't doing it till January. He was 4 weeks early. But Jesse had left his burner phone at work. And John was born on December 12th in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh.
And she kept trying to call him.
No.
But Jesse was at home asleep or at work, like getting to work. And I was at the time commuting to Connecticut for work.
Oh, you were out of town? Or you were like,
you were commute, like the reverse commute.
Oh, okay,
I was on the Metro North train going, like most people come this way.
Okay.
I was like,
you go the other way.
That way.
Okay.
So, and I sleep on the train because I had to be up there. It was so early. So I get to school and they're like, get out. Jesse already called. You have a baby. So we both flew to Indianapolis.
Oh my gosh.
And she was having a hard time because it was really like, they were kind of like aggressive about like, okay, sign this, do that. And she was like, what on earth? Like, this. In any event, we stayed with John we stayed in Indianapolis for a week. He was in the hospital. We were back and forth from the hospital to the hotel.
Because he's in NICU at this point?
He's in NICU.
Okay.
But like, it's such a healthy NICU. Like, it was I can't imagine saying this, but what a blessed NICU it was. Because for him, he was working on suck, swallow, breathe. Like, we saw so many kids in way worse conditions. And then we were just praying every day because we were there for 10 hours a day, every day.
Wow.
And in fact, we're still in touch with the family that was next to us.
Oh, nice.
And they have a little boy that's John's age. And like, and the nurses. We saw the last time we were in New Orleans, we visited her because she was there visiting her son. And now she lives there. And like, the NICU people changed my life.
Yeah. That's a whole other set of heroes right there.
I mean, you have to be the most special person.
You do.
To work in that ward.
100%.
Yeah.
So with what you have to see, the kind of heart you have to, no, this is part of your team here. To have a baby, you had to go through NICU. And
it was unbelievable.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we did that. And then this is going to be a funny story because it's no longer illegal. When we we like legal stories, but let's go with illegal too. Yeah. Okay. But so John was ready to be dismissed or released from the NICU, and then we were ready to take him home, but there were papers that needed to be filed within Indianapolis and New York.
Oh gosh.
And we hadn't been given clearance from New York yet. And we were at the airport because we were getting on that plane. We were like, sorry, but I'm like done with all of this nonsense.
Yeah. No more paperwork.
Our lawyer called us.
Yeah.
He was like, good news. You guys are cleared to come home. And then you were like, we're boarding flight 42. Like, it was hilarious. And so we pretended like, he's like, what's that? We're like, nothing.
It was a show. It's a travel show. Oh my gosh, you're hilarious. Oh my.
It was really funny. But anyway, so there he is, like 8 days old, and he's on his first flight ever.
With his ex-con father who went against the law-breaking fathers. I love it.
You know what? Sometimes
you got to do what you got to do.
And I won this time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, no, hey, listen, technically you didn't get him on the plane. You got the call. You got the clearance before you got on.
It was totally clear.
See, there you go.
We were planning to break the law, but we didn't have to. So that's why.
You didn't. There you go. All's well that is. God is good. Yeah, there you go. You got some divinity right there. I love that story. I'm so glad you can look back and laugh.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I
love it. We were like, this is funny. We're like changing a dirty diaper and going, yo, great. Yes.
What are you talking about? What's that? No, I'm just laughing because the desperation to just end it so you could just be a family. I mean, well, how can that be wrong? It's a beautiful thing. Did you finally admit to your lawyer?
No.
Did you tell your lawyer later? Like, by the way,
no, because there ended up being so much drama afterwards, like
Oh no.
that we never even got the chance to celebrate that with him. But that's a whole nother chapter in
No.
our
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think what I love about you're telling the honest truth of your experience, and we don't have to get into those details. It's just the fact that all the mental, because this show is about the mental load of parenting. And that's actually why I wanted to talk to you, because the idea of an adoption story, and the truth behind it, it's not what we see on TV. I mean, you have to, you got to squeeze that all into an hour program. At this point, we're trying to figure out, like, are you going to see your son, in 2 months, 1 month, 5 months? Like, what's going to happen here,
Well,
right?
so if I may, so that's the magical part of the story. So we'd never been happier as a family. We got all the way through Christmas, and like to have a new baby at Christmas. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
right? Like everything was perfect. There are 30 days to contest an adoption. And on the 30th day, while my mom was here,
No.
somebody claimed to be the birth father and contested the adoption. Then we proceeded to fight for 6 months and have a lawyer on retainer in Indianapolis, while every day terrified that somebody was going to take our child from us. It was the single worst time of my life, like of all of our lives. I mean, not John's, because thank God I don't think
He doesn't know it. Yeah. Yeah.
But I just hope he didn't feel it, because babies are so in tune. So we tried so hard, like, and in that time, not to make us seem like more victimized, but Jesse was laid off the February of that same year. So everything had gone completely south.
Oh, goodness.
But the thing is, Jesse was a rock at the time. He said, nobody's taking this child, and I know it. And I know that's my truth. I had the worst anxiety and was trying to keep down like my crazy work schedule.
Oh gosh, so there's that too.
And teach other children while I was afraid of my own all the time. And but the scariest part was my mom, long before I was born, had lost a child. So I had an older brother who was 3, and he had passed before I was born. And his name was Joe.
Oh.
So I got his name. But that trauma, just from growing up with a parent who had lost a child and being terrified every day of her life, spilled into my trauma and my anxiety about having my own child.
Yeah.
So it became, that's why those 6 months became so incredibly difficult, because I couldn't see to the other side. And even after that, like once, so we found out in June of that year that after several DNA tests and thousands and thousands of dollars of that the guy was not.
Oh my God.
And so John was 100% ours forever and ever.
Thank God.
And it was and in fact, like I always say that his birth was the best day, but that actually might have, like, they fight each other for the best day of my life. So,
they go head to head.
Yeah, June 15th of 2013 might have been. It's like, it's really close, because I'll never forget. We were in Tucson, Arizona, and my husband was with his mom getting chemo. Like, they were sitting together. I had John with me in the hotel room. We were visiting them. And I remember falling apart. And
did you just collapse?
I collapsed. Like, it was like, it's over. This nightmare is over. It was the greatest thing that could have ever happened. So yeah, sorry. I feel like I killed you. But
Joe, I'm supposed to be making you cry, not the other way around. That was insane. That was just like, what a beautiful moment.
It was so much, but it never went away. Like and I'm not giving up the fact, like, it was the greatest gift, and I'm so happy, but I never stopped being an anxiety-filled parent.
Yeah.
So every time I had to leave, like to travel or to do a gig or to do whatever, I was terrified. Oh, is it okay if he comes in the photo for a quick second?
Could he please?
He allows John, come. I'm on the. Oh my God, he just walked in.
This is our miracle right here. Oh, my sweet boy. Hi, my John. You are just beautiful. What a gift you are. And I'm learning so much about you. And of course, you made me cry. You just made me cry right now. Just being you. Oh my goodness. I'm honored to know this story. And you look at this. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to see how these beautiful families this is how you came to be, and look at you two. This is incredible.
He's the most perfect guy. And
he sure is. Oh, he's so cute. When I see you, I'm going to give you the biggest hug. I'm sorry. It's going to get awkward. It's going to get awkward.
Maybe we'll visit you. We'll come visit you.
Yes. Come to Victoria. Oh my gosh.
He was like, can I come in? I was like, of course.
I adore him so much. This is the thing, is like to see this full circle, to see him, years later he's a preteen. Would you call him a preteen at this point?
Yeah, he's 11. Yeah.
And like to know the beginnings of having him in your life when he found you, when you found him, it makes it just so much more special. And I gotta say, like I'm not on a similar, I don't have a similar story, but there are some similarities in that it was not easy. It was not the straight and narrow path here, and on top of it, there's this deep gratitude that is, you cannot explain it. You just live it. But then do you ever have those days where it's hard and you're like, but I have to be grateful because it was so hard to get here. You know, that kind of thing?
Oh my God, 100%. Okay. So rewinding a little bit, we were at a doctor's appointment one time. He was probably 3, I'm going to say. And the doctor said to him, this was the most sweet day of my life. How do you feel about your daddy? And he goes, wonderful, because he found me and I found them. And she cried, I cried, everybody cried.
God.
It was because when you do what's called conspicuous adoption because we're 2 white guys without a uterus with a black child. I know it sounds ridiculous.
I didn't notice it. I noticed nothing.
You noticed nothing. I mean, I don't see uteri, but
that's a whole other show. That's a whole other show, Joe. Oh my God.
But you know what I'm saying? So we had to do this whole thing called conspicuous adoption. We're like, we don't need to learn about this because no one's going to suggest that this wasn't conspicuous.
Yeah, right.
That'd be crazy. But anyway, so he's known from birth that we chose him and he chose us, and that this was all a wonderful divine miracle, really.
Yes.
For us, anyway.
It's a story.
Whatever you want, but for us, that is our story. Yeah. It's amazing, but then you forget you're still a normal parent.
Or a human. Yeah, a human. Yeah, period.
Human. I shouldn't say normal. A human parent who is like, I want to kill you. Or you know what I'm saying?
Why are you talking back? What did I get myself into? Yeah, I get it. I feel you.
And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, because my parents were not so gracious when I was complaining about parenting, because they're like, really? You forgot what you were like? I was like, that's not, when I'm looking for support and I'm having a hard time, that's not what I need to hear.
This is not helping, Mom. Don't tell the truth.
Not rude.
You're like, I was an angel. What are you talking? Ask Deb. The entire school would completely beg to differ. You were an angel. They would beg to differ,
but she's like, oh, Joe, don't get me started. I was like, are you kidding, Aurora? You better stop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you turn to your family of origin, and you're like, okay, I was not this kind of, I was so perfect. I was this blah blah blah, and then they're like, we beg to differ. What situations would make you kind of like, I need my support? What's going on? How do I deal with my kid acting this certain way or saying a certain thing?
So he was such a good baby, like really good.
Yeah.
Then he had an opinion.
Then he spoke.
Then he spoke, and I was like, sir, On what planet? Not just spoke, but like disagreed.
How
And I
dare
was like,
you?
maybe that was chapter 4 of the book that I did not read. But
Stop skipping chapters, Joe.
how you dare? That's not a thing. So, and then he would get into tantrum phase, which I was like,
Oh yeah.
what is this?
What is this?
I went with the like sit on the inside of the bedroom door and
Okay.
shut the lights so that he
Okay.
can escape with my back towards the door. Occasionally it meant casualties on my face
Yeah.
or body. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm coming anyway, but I was like, no, you can't. Because I knew if I just closed the door on the outside,
Oh yeah.
it would just be smashing or
Yeah.
escaping.
That's too much. That's too much.
Yes, it was hard. But I mean, only now as the parent of an 11-year-old,
Yeah.
do I acknowledge, and I'm not even a weird hippie parent, do I acknowledge big feelings? I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You're not processing well. And don't get me wrong, you can't be a jerk. Like, that's never going to be okay. So I'm glad we made that clear.
Mm.
But I also wasn't the most open to his big feelings.
At that
that was
point, back then.
At that point. And that was a come to Jesus for me, because I was like,
Yeah.
dude, you've had big feelings, or you still have big feelings.
You definitely have big
sometimes-
feelings.
Sometimes people need to be patient with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that was a journey, and it was a learning curve. And, I'm working on it today even, because, the saying, like, little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. Well, they become more difficult. So
Yeah. They're just going to get bigger and bigger. And the fact that you can accept, this is what I love about, the honesty and evolution of parenthood, is that we are allowed to make mistakes. You gave yourself grace, and you're learning as you go. We're just always learning, like in the different phases, right? And
Mhm.
I'm glad you were able to turn to your family of origin. You didn't really get the answer you wanted because you forgot the fact that you weren't always an angel or something, right? But
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that's the humbling feature of it, is that, hey, you turned out great, right? We have our anxieties of like, well, if he doesn't do this or does this now, blah blah blah. How about if this affects their growing years, and that's part of
Right.
the anxiety, right?
Yes. And why is it like the panic that the trajectory of bad behavior means you're failing
Yeah.
as a parent, or they suck, or like none of that's true.
No, not at all.
You can be a great parent that's not killing it,
Yeah.
whose child is not thriving at that moment.
Mhm.
And they will, and you will.
Yeah.
But every parent needs to give themselves and every other parent grace. Because it's not easy.
And I want to kind of go back to, giving ourselves grace, because as a creative, as a performer, let's not forget, you
Mhm.
had a very, very vibrant life before becoming a parent, and you had to make a conscious shift in your career. So could we talk about that real quick? Because those are some of the major decisions that a person of your, of your career choice, right? And
No, absolutely. And
how was that?
so I started with this group that we had created called Osole Trio before John was born. And then Jesse and I realized like we were in contention for adoption, which was great. And then we did, but that was just as we were, Osole Trio was starting to become a thing.
Yeah. Osole Trio is all about selling out shows. Come on. It was you.
We did great. It was
You
a great
did
run.
great.
Yes.
So we're not talking just as a light decision here. If you made any future decisions, we'll get there. You're telling me the story, but I want to make sure
Right.
that this is not your everyday little, gig. This was your passion, manifested
Right.
into this.
Well, and
Right.
we manifested it. And when we were in the throes of
Mm.
John's, we didn't know yet about this whole issue with the
Yeah.
potential paternal father who was contesting. We
Nightmare.
had our Carnegie Hall debut.
Oh gosh. Oh
So
my gosh.
I remember singing my first and only time at Carnegie Hall in this wonderful show. And then John was there with Jesse. And then in the second half, which I wasn't part of, I was holding him in the dressing room and listening to it and just being with my 6-month-old baby.
Oh.
Because it was in June and it was right before we found out, but we did not know yet. So that was such a special time. So then we got some traction after that, and things were going really well, and we toured and whatever. But there was a time when John was like, I'm going to say 2.5 years old, where I was gone for 3.5 weeks, and it was horrible.
Oh gosh.
Because don't get me wrong, like touring's fun. I love performing. It was such a highlight. But then I would come home because I still teach. So I had to make up all those lessons. I had to try to get all those people back. And then not only was I away, I came back and spent less time with my family than I would have the first time because I was doing more work.
Right. Makeup work. Yeah. Makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to the point where it was like, this is too much. And then the ensemble itself just kind of started to dissolve interpersonally.
Okay. So the timing was there. It was starting to like make sense.
And it worked out the most brilliant way because we were just... we ended up splitting right before the pandemic.
Okay.
And we could not have had any work at that time.
Yeah.
And we didn't. So
silver lining though, right?
Silver lining, yes. Yes. And I wish them well. And it was a great run and I don't regret a minute of it.
Yeah.
And it really gave me my performance chops. Like, there were hundreds of shows at that point. You know what I mean? And it felt great. But it was not... like, it's not something now that I would leave my family for.
And this is the crossroads. But you knew your answer. You're like, I'm going to choose my family right now. I'm ready.
I feel like I'm still performance-wise in my prime. And I love teaching so much.
Oh, yes.
My studios are huge. Like I don't even know, between the two schools and my private studio, there's, I teach several hours a week, but I don't want to stop the performance aspect.
Yeah.
And now I'm open because John's a little older and I won't be touring or whatever, but I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to just get back out there and maybe fulfill that part of my life again.
Exactly, because it is about the seasons, and the season when he needed you most was when he was little, and you were navigating the pandemic as well. You're navigating, I'm assuming homeschool was not an easy time, just because you also perform and you did this, but you weren't performing at that time. Yeah, you weren't performing at that time, but there must have been some stuff that you had to kind of deal with, maybe to make up.
I tell you?
Talk to me.
I had a green screen behind my piano so that the students wouldn't see me as my family was walking to the kitchen. My husband was working in our bedroom and John was doing homeschooling in his bedroom. So... oh,
you still continue to teach, but digitally. Got you. Okay.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh, thank God. I was going to ask you that. Okay.
So all the schools let me continue to do that.
Awesome.
And in fact, the weird blessing of the pandemic was that I ended up with students that I wouldn't have normally taught, but they were like in Scotland or in California or wherever. And they were like, well, now that this is a thing, can I study with you again?
Oh, that opened that. Yeah.
At the time,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I actually have, I'm going to say 4 students still on Zoom that some of them are local. It's just easier. They're like, because I figured it out. I know how to do it. It's super easy.
Yeah. Hey, we wouldn't be here right now if we didn't have this option.
Let's be serious.
Let's be real. This is a blessing that came out of that whole like mystery of a time. And I am grateful for that. So I'm glad that affected your business and expanded, opened a new door for you, which is great.
It did.
And so then you can, carry that into your family, because that all comes back to family too, because this is your income. This is your, this is your joy, and a happy dad is like a happy family as well. Right. So this all comes together, and I'm just so happy that's what happened, because it would be very easy to get depressed after walking away from something this huge, right? Old Solo Trio, and like selling out shows and performances. And then right away you closed down, and that wasn't a family-based thing. That was a world thing. That was a global thing.
The world thing.
And
right.
New York is a whole other experience than the city here, right? The tiny.
Yeah. And it was being like, it felt like I was in jail at home because I was trying to teach voice lessons and keeping everybody kind of quiet so that I could do these things.
Yeah.
But also trying to make sure that my son did school.
Oh, that was so hard. That's so hard.
Right. And it was, I remember that was a time where my mom like was killer amazing because I called her and I was despondent. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't know how. And I'm so blessed. Like I have another parent in my house and one child only. But I was so tired and so sad and so
much.
So worried about the future. Like thinking, how do we get, because I think he was in first or second grade at the time. So it was really early.
Yeah.
And how do you get him to just sit in front of a screen?
Oh.
And she was amazing and so helpful and saying, listen, there have been like terrible times in every part of history and you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, like the pandemic sucked for sure. I didn't live through a war. I haven't had to figure out how to forage for food.
Yeah.
I have to sometimes have perspective about how incredibly, no matter how hard it was, how blessed I am to have been given every one of these gifts. You know? I don't, we struggle. We all struggle. Do we struggle the way they did? No.
There's no comparison. But I love that you can see that perspective because there are some real stories that the stories that we have to kind of, the stories that our parents share with us or grandparents, I'm so glad we don't have to really understand it. You know, like, I mean, firsthand, we are really blessed. But when we're in the crux of anxiety, and I mean, I love though that you are saying that your anxiety was so debilitating that you had to call your mom. It still needs to be addressed, that mental health and the overwhelm was still like, it hit you hard because it actually hit so many families hard too. And we didn't know how to navigate not knowing what was going to happen in the future. And so I love that you can see perspective, but also be vulnerable,
Right. You can validate your feelings
because they're real and they suck
sometimes.
Yeah.
Or they're great. And let's lean into it for sure.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't always have to be the end of the world for you to have a feeling.
100%.
Because otherwise we would be despondent all the time. So like let's deal with everything as we go, but let's also have perspective. Because also it's like, I would love to think that our parents were the last people that went through that. People are going through it all the time. Right?
Yeah.
There are immigrants and countries and people that are suffering beyond anything I can even imagine at this point, which make my problems seem trivial. And I have to bear in mind that they're not trivial. Like that's what I'm feeling and that's what I'm going through that day. But that is otherworldly. Like that is a different problem.
Well, I have to stop you for a second though, Giuseppe, because what you went through, wondering if you were going to lose your son.
Right.
That's something many people don't understand.
No, that was again.
There's another time, right?
Probably.
But you too,
But that makes me think like I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, because you you survived that.
Because I had the worst thing that could ever happen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I can't believe it makes me smile now, but it does.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because you come out really like just resilient when you have I'm not saying that parents who have it easy and the like babies just kind of popping out of their, the nuclear family. I'm not saying they
Right.
have it easy or anything like that.
No.
Definitely not downplaying. But I do have to say, when you have struggle starting your family, it's a different it's like a next level kind of
Mhm.
thing. We belong to a club of like
Yep.
I've shared with you and I've shared openly that we lost 10
And
children,
even fathom that,
babies,
yeah.
and 4 of them were quite developed in the second trimester. So we know the other side. I wish we didn't, but we know the other side. So the amount of grace that we can kind of give ourselves, right? The amount of grace we can give
Mhm.
ourselves when we have hard moments, like it's just incredible how gratitude and compassion comes out of something so traumatic. And I think part of the reason why you have perspective, like being able to say, oh, well, my parents went through all this, and my predecessors went through all of this. I can take a step back and have perspective
Mhm.
because you know the other end,
Right.
hard times too. And
Yeah.
what great perspective. It's a blessing to have hardships when you go to the other side and go, oh, I survived that.
And it creates a kind of empathy that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
Because I thought my mom was nuts. Like, she would have a bad dream and suddenly we weren't allowed to go outside that day.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that she was wrestling these demons of like
Mm.
fear. Because her son was 3.5 when he died.
Mm.
Right? Like,
That I cannot imagine. I cannot, and I never want
like
to.
by a car accident, not
Oh,
even like, so that,
oh,
but also acknowledging the fact that that's where that kind of fear and trauma comes from. That took me a long time.
to
I had
understand.
no idea I had anxiety because we didn't know what that was. It's not something you deal with, especially in Italian families. You're like, what is anxiety?
Filipino.
I don't, you know
It's
what
a
I mean?
choice, right? Like, oh no,
Yeah, yeah,
in our community too, it's really hard to convince our elderly. It's really hard to
yeah,
convince them it's a real thing. There's something there.
yeah. Like, they're like, they don't believe in mental health. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But that's me also being not very empathetic. I'm like, you're fools. You don't understand. You know what I mean?
But you give them
I've told
grace
my
too.
mom,
You give them grace too.
yeah,
I can see it. Yeah.
there is, but I've told my mom 1,000 times, like, based on like all of the trauma that she and my dad have been through, I was like, have you thought about therapy? I don't need the therapy. Like, I'm like, okay, don't do
I
it.
love
That's fine.
your parents. I just love them.
I used to use her voice. Did I tell you, as when I called in at St. Francis, as her to
Come
excuse my absence?
on. No. You
Yeah,
are just scandalous. All
we're a
kinds of
little scandalous.
scandals.
Are you ready? I'm gonna do my impression for you.
Okay, go. Can I,
Hello.
hello,
Wait, no,
hello.
you are the
Okay.
St. Francis.
Hello, St. Francis.
Hello, this is Mrs. Spoletini. I'm very sorry, but John don't feel too good today.
Okay. I remember this. Why do I remember? Okay,
Yeah.
now you just struck a core memory because I remember Mama Spoletini, I love you because first of all, she made the best sandwiches. The best sandwiches. Joe always
Oh,
had the best
everybody ate.
lunches. Yeah,
Everybody ate.
well,
Yeah.
we were all like this. Oh, incredible. I always just vied for your life, your sandwiches.
Mm.
But I remember you doing this at school. You would do like you did not care that you could be overheard doing your impressions. I remember this because I just remember the voice, not so much that you did it, but I remember the voice. And
Yeah.
now I love that you just bring it to life. Now,
I know.
what would you do? What would you do if you
Oh
found out
God, no.
John was doing this?
No, the things that I do not tolerate from my child or my students that I did, I hope none of them see this. I'm like, on what planet do you think that is a permissible way to behave? Like, my indignance is wild. You would think I was a nun from the old school. I forgot. And that's why my mom has no sympathy when I tell her
totally.
about my struggles.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh no, my dad reminds me like, oh, this is payback. This is payback.
Yeah.
He always says one day you're gonna have a girl and you're gonna experience this. I'm like, you talking about? I'm an angel.
Yeah.
And then I am exactly like you, and I hear those voices, and then I hear it just like seeping out of my mouth too, and I'm like, but now let me ask you this: I know that creeps up, right? Like those old, because this
Yeah.
is deeply ingrained. So have you turned some stuff around? Are you also a cycle breaker as well? Like on top of, like cycle meaning, well, I'm learning from this that this is not what I want to implement. Or is it fully like, has it come down into your parenthood, like the kind of almost word for word, the tones and stuff like that,
Well,
or has it switched?
I'm going to say like yes, because everybody's like on a learning curve as a parent.
Yeah.
But I gotta say my parents kind of killed it in so many ways because they were so supportive. Yes, they were strict and crazy and wild. They sure made us feel loved and supported. So did they always like understand the nuances of what people were feeling? No, because they were kind of just trying to survive.
Yeah. They were working with what they got.
Well, they were working with what they got,
Yeah.
and they had like language barriers, and they had so many other things. But I am hoping to instill the same sort of value system in John
Yes. Yeah.
and the love and support, because there's like, thank God they're both still here and they're so crazy about him
Mhm.
because he's the baby. Like, if you think about, we're an unconventional family already, but I'm the youngest in my family, and my siblings all had kids when most people did.
Yeah.
So
I'm
all of
with
John's
you.
cousins are in their upper 20s.
Yeah. So he's the baby of the
Right?
baby. Yeah. 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 No, me
So
too. Me
he's like
too. Yeah.
he's 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what I don't want to do is create an expectation of, because there was very much a like, these are the markers that you need to hit in your life as immigrants. They were like, you should be doing this by this. You should be married by this. You should have a house by this. You should be whatever. And if it's not happening, like, even to this day, they're like, does Sophia have a boyfriend yet? Is this person dating? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? And not in a mean way, but it's just like, that's where I really pull back and go like, okay, I can't have John have these same crazy markers. Also, in New York, it's so crazy competitive. Like,
Okay.
I work at all these really high-performing schools
Yep.
where kids are doing 9,000 things at the highest level. They're doing like tennis and squash and violin and singing and whatever. And I have to pull back and say, I gotta let John just do the things he's interested in right now. But at the same time, not let him quit everything that isn't jiving at that moment.
It's such a balance.
It is hard. It's really hard.
And I want to give a little kudos to the fact that we're Gen Xers that got to really get a taste of that old school mentality and now the modern day mentality. We have had a taste of all of it. Same with some millennials as well. But I do think that the gift that we have is choice. So we can a la carte, we can pick like some of the old value systems that that made us who we are. I think the reason why you're such a big feeler is because your family was rooted in love. Hands down, through the food, the cooking, through the curiosity, asking questions like, are you going to have, are you going to get married? So it's all coming from love. And in this modern day, like, shh, don't ask this question. Don't do this and that. We have to just.
It's like oppressive, but like.
It's extreme opposites. So we're kind of in the middle.
You can be kind and also.
Curious. Yeah.
Offensive.
Yeah.
In every way, right?
Yeah.
You can have good intentions in the old way, and you can have good intentions in a new way and still be offensive.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be really careful. But you're right. You're right. You're right. Gen X kind of killed it. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I have to say, I gotta say, like we are in a different kind of, we have a different mindset that, and I love that you're my finale. You're my season finale because
Actually,
you are.
I could not be more flattered by that
Oh,
because
this was intentional.
I'm obsessed with you.
Oh, I'm obsessed with you. And the reason why I wanted you on here is because, well, A, you're hilarious and I love you. B, I miss the pants off you. Oh, let's not say that.
Don't cut that. Keep that.
Freudian
Keep that,
slip.
folks.
Yeah, Freudian slip. No, but seriously, like I miss you so much because you bring an energy that is it's absolutely it's so contagious. But more importantly, I do see we are more alike than we ever knew. Like when we were dance
Right.
partners, we were so opposite and so much alike, and that's actually
Mhm.
why we fine tuned this dance. And I love how we can kind of close talking about how we met, kind of like we met on we met on this like in our neighborhood, you know, in this like humble neighborhood, not humble,
Right.
in this like family, very family centered, you know, neighborhood. And then we go to school together, we perform, we get a taste of the bright lights, right? We love performing, you know, we both love the stage and having the light shine on
Right.
us, right? And then we made a choice to be parents. And then
Mhm.
with parenting came all these struggles. It was not easy. So there's that kind of alignment.
Right.
And I did not plan for this, actually. I didn't realize how much there were parallels. We are we have two very similar cultures and backgrounds and value systems that we still uphold and respect and regard in our heart. And yet we're cool. We're on a Zoom. We are on a digital call, right?
We're
Like,
digital.
Making a podcast on a TV show that is going to be aired.
Across 2 countries.
Come on, right?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. And then we're able to find our way back full circle and embrace parenting as parents of teenagers and preteens. And not easy, new phase, but we're ready to get back on there. That's what I love.
Yep.
You just finished telling me that, yeah, I let it go for that season. Now I'm ready to go back. I think it's time. I can do some stuff now. And so I love that we are able, I'm so glad that we were able to find where we're so much alike. Different cities, different family setups,
Right.
but all so much the
It's
same.
so much of the same.
So much of the same.
Oh, Deb, you know that my grandparents lived with us our whole lives on Dalhart Road.
Yes.
Our entire lives. And my grandfather, my son got to see him John was 3 when maybe a little older.
Mm.
Anyway, so he had a great grandfather,
Mm.
like in my parents' house still. So you also have that, like, it's that feeling of like that family, that extended family that lives with you forever. I don't know a life without grandparents in my house.
I
And
can't believe you're
it's
telling me
amazing.
this. I needed to hear this, Joe. Sorry to
Oh my
interrupt.
gosh, I didn't realize you didn't know because we had that weirdly big house in Dalhousie.
You did. It was beautiful.
Because like some drug dealer built it because it was weird, but also so beautiful.
Thank
Sorry,
you, drug
not a-
dealer. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Thank you, drug dealer. It was a beautiful home, but weird. Anyway, but we had these 4 giant bedrooms upstairs, and my grandparents were in one of them, and my grandmother would always be the one in the window, like waiting till we came home. She tucked me in every night. She was incredible. So
Oh.
I just know that that's what you're experiencing, and it was the wonderful, wonderful part of my life.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear this coming from you. And then and here you are appreciating it in your new, well, it's not really your new life, but the life that you chose being in New York, big
Mhm.
city, and you don't have this. I'm assuming in New York you're not going to have the same kind of like huge giant house like we did in Dalhousie. Same with me.
No.
It's a different lifestyle in BC.
No.
Right? So I know that the fact that you can really appreciate it and remind me that it's a gift, because I have a lot
It
of
is a
guilt.
gift.
I have a lot of guilt, and to be able to say some of my core memories are knowing that my grandparents were in my house. I can let go of that guilt now. So you serve me, man.
I'm so glad. No, it's
we love Giuseppe. Love
yes,
you.
yes. I love you.
Okay,
This is so great.
I'm gonna ask you, if you could bottle up one moment, and I think you've already answered that question, but there might be more. If you bottle one moment or one sentiment or or just one anything, and to sum up your journey as a dad, what would that be?
I would say the first day that John called me dad, because
Oh,
there's not a word for me that's charged with more love than that. And it's going to make me a little bit emotional
me
because
too.
I didn't know that was an option for me in my life based on so many circumstances.
Yeah.
So then when he was little, it was daddy, now it's dad. Like, so when he decided he was too cool for daddy,
Mhm.
it's dad now. Yeah. But all of those times, every time I heard that, like, I started calling myself that.
Oh,
You know what I mean? In my mind, I'd be
yes.
like, okay, daddy, you got to do this. Okay, daddy, let's get like. So that was my like alter ego. Like, even in my own brain, I would call myself that. But because it brought me a sense of comfort and security and self.
Yeah.
So there's not a single moment, but like it's just that feeling of when I hear that word from his mouth,
Oh,
I feel like everything's okay.
oh boy. Wow. And we take it for granted, the fact that you shared that, on so many levels, like you weren't sure if this was an option, and it
Yeah.
sure is.
Right?
Yeah, it sure
The
is.
sadness of it maybe not being ever come to fruition was a real thing for us.
Of course.
And this is not disparaging to any other child, but
Yeah, of course.
we got the best one for us.
Yeah, you did.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally was the Mega Million lottery child. And
Absolutely.
can't be more grateful than that.
I am so humbled by this conversation, and I can't think of another way to end this beautiful season of this very amazing opportunity of having a platform called Sass and Small Talk, because I never really knew what I was getting myself into when I signed up for this. And I just realized, like, I wanted to hear stories. I wanted to get something out of you guys. I wanted to, like, I had these amazing guests, and I just have to name my guests because it is my last show
Of
for the
course.
season. We have Jen, Carly, Catherine, Nikki, Paulina, Nina, Rowena, and finally Giuseppe. You have given me, and of course my first season has given me so much more than just stories. You've given me life lessons, and you've opened like your new resources for me as well. I'm going to just take bits and pieces of what I learned from you, like the gratitude, the perspective, the patience, knowing that I'm not alone when I have frustrating moments,
Mhm.
especially with you sharing that, hey, I had a really hard time. It was not an easy journey to get this child, to bring this child home. And yet I still have hard moments. I'm not always running around, in the sunset, like
No,
screaming from the rooftops that, like, it's so easy and wonderful to be a parent. It's not.
no.
We give ourselves permission to, but I kept
Mhm.
having guilt about it. Like, oh, how dare I feel this way when, so hard I should be so grateful, blessing, blessing, blessing. But in the middle of a meltdown, it's not easy to feel that way. So I appreciate you, and you are a gift. You just poured into my cup, but I think into a community of people here in Victoria and all over the world once this gets online. Because what's going to happen is that people are going to see the reality and the hardship and the joy of, like you said, a non-conventional way of having your family and raising your family. And yet you were raised in what they would call the traditional way, the way that
Right.
so many of us can relate to. And you're able to marry the two. I mean, how awesome is that?
It is such a blessing, but also don't sell yourself short about what you're giving us. You, by creating this platform and by speaking truth about all of these really difficult parts of parenting, you are such a gift, Deb.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I could not be more grateful that you're back in my life. And I won't let you go.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Okay.
This is what's happening.
You can't see it. The hairs on my arms do you remember me having hairy arms? I used to hate
Yep.
my hairy arms.
No,
They're
I
all
don't
up.
remember your
They're
hair.
all.
I just love you so much.
I
and
love
your arms
you
were
too.
perfect always.
There was a reason why we were meant to cross paths again online.
Yep.
I do hope to see you in person because it's going to be a real big awkward hug.
It's gonna be
We're
crazy.
going to have to start dancing again though, just for old time's
Yeah,
sake.
there'll be some tears and some flips. It'll be great.
Joe, I just love you. I adore you. I appreciate you. I learned so much
Thank
from you.
you.
I do want to thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for gracing us with your presence, your truth. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank my wonderful community of parents of all shapes and sizes and stories that are here to listen, to take what they can take and get what they can get and bring it home and know that you are not alone. You are seen and you are heard. We are all one wonderful community, one village, and we all can just appreciate that. I want to take this opportunity to thank House of Owl, the production magic makers and my production staff and my post-production staff who have just brought this to life. I am forever grateful to you guys because you make us look good. You look good. I am grateful to all of you. I feel so incredibly blessed, nourished, and like complete and held in this wonderful space because it takes a village to raise a child and a community to raise their parent. I'll see you when I see you because this is the season finale of Sass and Small Talk, the mental load of parenthood. Bye for now. Joe!
You are magical.
I need my sass back.
Signing off. See ya, guys. Bye. Signing off. See ya. Bye.